okay, peacefully as far it's gone, but
Right.
how can it, is possibility of it ending where each side says, okay, well, this was bad, so let's just, Russia's not going to go back.
I can't imagine a scenario where a Vladimir Putin-led Russia admits that they made a mistake and completely withdraws from Ukrainian territory. I can't imagine a scenario
So
where
there's
Russia...
some geopolitical stuff that's going to redraw some lines.
Yeah, they're not going to accept, a Vladimir Putin-led Russia is not going to accept an agreement less than what they started out with before the conflict began. And so that makes peace difficult because ultimately Ukraine's going to have to accept giving up some territory. That becomes easier the fewer Ukrainians there are in eastern Ukraine.
Yeah.
So one of the consequences of the brutality of the war is that it becomes easier for Ukraine to just accept these people are never going to go back home again. And if the West would agree to repatriate or to support the relocation of some of these citizens, either to Europe or to Western Ukraine, that makes peace easier. But to your broader question, whenever I've been talking about this with my students, one of the things that I've said is that the way that this ends is probably with Russia becoming a vassal of the Chinese empire. Because if we look... Yeah.
You're saying that China will control
if we look
Russia
5 or 10 years into the future, and so look past what's happening this month, look past what's happening through 2022, the Russian economy is basically going to become dependent upon the Chinese economy because there are very few countries in the world that are willing to continue to buy and sell on a 1-to-1 ratio with the Chinese or with the Russians. Very few countries that are willing to accept rubles as form of payments as opposed to the American dollar, which is the normal form of payment. China's been one of those countries. So over time, the longer this goes, the more dependent upon the Chinese economy Russia becomes. The more stressed the Russian economy becomes, the more it's going to need an influx of external capital. And the only country that's going to be willing to invest in Russia is going to be China.
Because I was wondering about China. We hadn't heard much in a while.
I think part of it is that there's some geopolitical reasons.
Speaking of the art of war,
I think there's some geopolitical reasons why Russia wanting to take back its territory in Ukraine looks similar to China wanting to reclaim Taiwan, and I think that there's some truth to that. But I honestly think if you think 10 or 15 years in the future, the worse this is for Russia, the better it is for China.